In the heart of West Africa, where trade routes were once defined by dusty roads and overloaded trucks, a silent revolution is taking place. Steel tracks are being laid across the land, not just to move goods and people, but to reshape economies, realign borders, and redefine national ambition. This is the story of Tema-Pakadan Railway, a modern marvel of engineering, diplomacy, and development. A journey not just of distance, but of destiny. Ghana, long considered a stable and strategically located country in the region, is positioning itself as the logistical heartbeat of West Africa. Central to the vision is a corridor of steel stretching from the bustling coast of Port of Tema through the verdant hills of the eastern region to the quiet banks of the Volta River in Pakadan. But the ambition doesn't stop here. This railway is the first step in broader corridor connecting Ghana's port to the landlocked Sahel, especially Burkina Faso. This is a story of design, construction, and transformation, a story where infrastructure meets vision and where a single rail could catalyze a continent. For decades, Ghana's railway infrastructure told the story of colonialism. Narrow gauge lines built for cocoa and gold exports once crisscrossed the southern part of the country, but these lines, laid as early as the 1980s, were never designed to unify the nation or foster regional integration. Instead, they served extractive purposes, transporting raw materials to the coastal areas for export to Europe. After independence in 1957, successive governments struggled to maintain the aging network. By the 2000s, many lines were abandoned, rusting, or despair. The dream of a modern rail system faded under the weight of debt, poor planning, and underinvestment. But as the 21st century unfolded, a new realization emerged. Without efficient railways, Ghana and much of the West Africa would remain at the mercy of costly road transport. Economic transformation demanded a different kind of infrastructure, one capable of carrying bulk cargo, reducing emissions, and cutting across regions quickly and safely. The realization gave birth to a series of new rail initiatives, and at the heart of them was the Tema-Pakadan Railway. The idea for the Tema-Pakadan Railway was not conceived in isolation. It was always meant to be part of a broader regional integration plan. Ghana recognized its strategic position, a well-developed port at Tema on the Atlantic coast, and a series of overland trade routes stretching into Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. What was missing was the rail link. The plan was bold: construct a modern standard gauge railway line from Tema to Pakadan, just under 100 kilometers. From there, future phases would extend through Yepe and Tamale before reaching Paga on the Ghana-Burkina Faso border. On the Burkina side, a new stretch of track would continue to Ouagadougou, creating a seamless rail link between the Gulf of Guinea and the Sahel. But first, Ghana needed to prove it could build and complete phase 1. That meant a new line with world-class standards, funded through international partnerships, and executed with precision. In 2016, Ghana secured a $447 million loan from the Export-Import Bank of India to finance the Tema-Pakadan railway stretch. This financing arrangement reflected a growing trend in African infrastructure, bilateral deals with emerging economies, especially in Asia. The Indian firm Afcon Infrastructure Limited was awarded the contract, bringing its experience in large-scale engineering to West Africa. The scope of the project was ambitious: nearly 100 kilometers of standard gauge system, new stations, overpasses, culverts, and major bridge crossing the Volta River, unlike Ghana's older lines, which were narrow gauge and limited in speed and capacity. This railway would be built to international standards, allowing for faster, heavier, and more efficient trains. Planning involved environmental assessment, resettlement, negotiations, and detailed engineering studies. The thousands of workers were mobilized and local communities were engaged to minimize displacement and ensure cooperation. By 2018, construction had begun, and with it, Ghana had signaled a new era of railway development, one not stuck in the past, but charging towards the future. The railway begins at the expanded Tema Port, one of the busiest shipping terminals on the West African coast. From there, it winds through industrial zones, urban communities like Ashaman and Afienya, and into the greener, more rural landscapes of the eastern region. Each kilometer tells a different story in the south. The railway runs adjacent to the highways in bustling neighborhoods. As it climbs north, the land becomes hillier, and the Volta River looms on the horizon, wide, powerful, and serene. Crossing this river would be one of the project's most formidable engineering challenges, but doing so would allow the railway to reach Pakadan, a quiet town positioned strategically as a future logistics hub. Pakadan sits near the river bank, offering a perfect point to connect rail cargo with inland waterways, another piece of Ghana's transport puzzle. Bridges, tunnels, and embankments were carefully constructed to navigate this diverse terrain. In total, more than 300 culverts and 25 bridges were built along the route, each one designed to withstand heavy rainfall, seismic shifts, and long-term use. Perhaps the most iconic feature of the Tema-Pakadan Railway is the Volta River Bridge. Spanning nearly 300 meters, this steel and concrete structure connects the southern half of the corridor to its northern ambitions. Constructing required deep water pilings, floating barges, and constant monitoring of river current. Teams worked day and night, welding steel girders in place and ensuring structural stability even in the face of heavy seasonal floods. When the bridge was completed, it became more than a piece of infrastructure. It became a symbol of unity, connectivity, and progress. It also marked the first major railway bridge over the Volta River, setting the stage for future multimodal connections that could one day include ferry terminals and logistic centers. At Pakadan, temporary station and cargo yard were constructed to facilitate initial operations, but not long ago, Tem planned a vision sprawling inland ports, complete with cranes, warehouses, and custom facilities, allowing goods to be offloaded from trains and onto the barges for river transport to northern Ghana. As still-made soil and concrete began to rise from the ground, the scale of the Tema-Pakadan Railway became more visible. Trains of heavy equipment moved through the eastern region. Earthworks and grading transformed the landscape. Rail sleepers were laid in precise rows, stretching across wide plains and climbing through gentle elevations. Each segment of the railway had its own challenges. In the wetter southern zones, workers had to deal with erosion and soil instability. In hilly terrain, cuts and embankments were fully engineered to maintain safe gradients. All the while, care was taken to protect local water bodies and avoid unnecessary displacement of communities. By 2021, major segments of the line had been completed. The Volta bridge was structurally sound, ballasts had been laid, and signal systems were being installed. In parallel, station and maintenance yards were rising, equipped with control towers, sidings, and fuel supply points. The railway wasn't just a strip of steel, it was a complex system integrated with digital traffic control, communication networks, and real-time safety monitoring. It represented a new standard for rail infrastructure in West Africa, reliving similar projects in Kenya, Ethiopia, and Morocco. The work created thousands of jobs, both directly and indirectly. Skilled welders, engineers, masons, truck drivers, electricians, all found work along the corridor. Local businesses supplied food, materials, and housing. For many communities, the project was not just about transportation, it was a source of income and renewal. Even as the first phase neared completion, attention turned to what laid ahead. The government of Ghana, working closely with Burkina Faso, outlined the next phase of the corridor, the Tema-Pakadan to Paga Railway, and from there an international extension to Ouagadougou. The Tema-Pakadan to Paga section, stretching over 500 kilometers, would pass through towns such as Yipe, Tamale, Walewale, and Bolgatanga. It would transform Ghana's northern region from economic peripheries into thriving trade zones, and for Burkina Faso, it would offer a shorter, faster, and more efficient connection to an Atlantic port. Preliminary surveys and feasibility studies identified optimal alignments. The proposed route would follow existing road and avoid environmentally sensitive areas. Stations, depots, and border terminals were penciled into plans. By May 2023, both Ghana and Burkina Faso had reaffirmed their commitment to the corridor through bilateral agreement and technical working group.